Hello and welcome to Bespoke Unit. My name is Paul Anthony.
And I'm Charles-Philippe.
And today we're going to be reviewing the Dunhill Icon. As always with our fragrance reviews, we're going to be going step by step through the Bespoke Unit fragrance formula. You'll see a link below with the blank fragrance formula you can fill out yourself, as well as our completed fragrance formula with the grade out of 100, and also other fragrance reviews. So Charles-Philippe, Dunhill Icon was released back in 2015, and since then it's been a stalwart in my fragrance collection. I know for you it's a relatively new fragrance, so today we thought it would be a good opportunity to review and talk about the pros cons of the fragrance. So Charles-Philippe, would you like to get started?
Let's have a go. So yeah, this is I'd say definitely your signature fragrance. You have a bottle here at the office, you have a bottle at home. I mean, I associate this with you. So yes, the first thing we're getting is a very citrus head. I'd say there's quite a sweet bergamot tones to it, followed by, I'd say, some petitgrain, which means it's kind of, petitgrain is like the smell of Earl Grey tea, you know, that kind of citrusy tone you get. And then probably some, what have I got in my notes here? Some neroli, so it's quite sweet, it's quite subdued, but still on the citrus scale of things. And the head is kind of countered then to give it some masculinity with some black pepper.
I mean, the big thing for this fragrance for me is not an overpowering fragrance, but it's a very deep fragrance. Even in the head, I'm getting a nice depth to it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's certainly got a strong foundation, and it's sort of, there's a seamless transition into the heart. You still have these notes of black pepper before you get to some sort of lavender, so you're still in that sweetness. It isn't a sudden or brusque change. And then you can have some cardamon, which is like a mild spice. It's you know, a sort of slight muskiness, which will be as a precursor into the base, which we'll talk about in a minute. Another thing in the heart is the juniper berries. So that kind of gives this sort of wide, quite a diverse palette in the heart. And stays, nevertheless, quite, despite this diversity, it always stays relatively coherent.
I mean, for me, what really sings this fragrance praises is the base.
Yeah.
The base is phenomenal. That's why I love this fragrance. That's why I wear it all the time. It's a great evening fragrance for me. We'll get more into the impression and the seasonality in a while, but for me, that woody base just sells it. You know, I mean, as an EDP, the longevity's there. It's going to be a strong performer for several hours, even you know, from morning definitely into late afternoon. For me, it's probably more of an evening fragrance. I'd classify it as, you know, chic, kind of moving into the seasonality. With the citrusy head, some people do like to see it as a, you know, a spring summery fragrance, but for me, with that woody base, which is really what you're getting for a much longer time than just the head and the heart, I think for me it's a transitional fragrance into autumn, and also works great as an all year round kind of evening fragrance, especially for formal events. So if I'm in a tuxedo, or I'm going out for a business meeting or on a date, for me, I reach for Dunhill Icon on a regular basis because of that.
Absolutely, I could definitely associate this fragrance with a candlelit dinner for two, very romantic, and sort of, you know, in the evening when it's starting to get a bit chilly outside, so that overcoats, a bit of fur. It's definitely one of those romantic and quite exotic fragrances without going too far into the Oriental family.
And did you want to touch on the weight and strength that we both somewhat agree upon?
Yeah, well, we're getting to the base now, I don't know. Well, let's talk about the wake and strength while we really wait for it to cook through. Well, for me, the sillage, which is the weight, the trail that's left behind from the fragrance. Now, I can definitely pick that up, like when Paul's in the office and he walks down and he walks back up, he always leaves like a little trail behind him. In terms of projection, it's very strong, not overpowering, so even say you're standing where you are to us, we can get just a hint of it, but we still have this sort of tantalising tea, so when we get closer, it will reveal a little bit more. And then for me, I don't know, the longevity seems pretty strong. you know more about it than I do.
Yeah, I know for me it's just a great performer. So I'm just writing some additional notes here on my fragrance formula. But you know, for me it's a great performer that lasts, I'd say, easily 6 to 8 hours. You know, the draw down's really long, really smooth, and it never overpowers at any point of the fragrance. So for me, it's a great performer. Not only we have 2 bottles here. We have one of the older bottles here that I probably bought back in early 2016, and this one literally just arrived today in the office. As Charles Philippe may be taking it back to France. We're currently standing here in Philadelphia. But for me, the older fragrance came out with that rich head and heart that was encapsulating. I think the new blend, I'm getting a little bit of a lighter head. Not as much depth, but I think it draws down very similar though, especially once we get into the base.
We seem to be lacking some of that pepper. The juniper berries are not absent, but they seem to be less, not overpowering, but less present. And we seem to be more on the citrus in the head, and a lot more in sort of this floral overtone. I mean, there's some iris in there, which was in the original, which you more or less discovered more in the base, which we haven't talked about yet.
Sure.
But we get it a lot more now in the heart instead.
Sure. So, as always with our Bespoke Unit fragrance formula, we've covered composition, seasonality, third-party feedback, weight and strength, impressions, and presentation. So, if you just want to cover the base quickly.
That base. Well,
I know I've touched on it many times already.
The base is quite magic. I mean, it like I said earlier, it goes towards Oriental fragrances, but it never actually goes in there. It's always still very woody. So what do we have? We have very sort of fresh vetiver overtone, which is then sort of transitions you from the heart straight into the base, and we get to experience some agarwood, so an oud, which is very resinous, kind of musky, but it's still distinctively wood. But we have what I've kind of detected is labdanum. So we have something which is very musky, kind of animalistic, but it's not overpowering either. So
I mean, for me, I'm a huge cedar fan. I even pick out a little bit of cedar in there.
Yeah.
A little like dryness as well.
Oh yeah. Well, it's definitely dry.
Our skin reacts so differently to different fragrances. I bring out sweetness. So yeah, I mean, again, just a great.
Are you getting some oak moss in there as well? That kind of earthiness as well. Yeah, that works well.
It's like it's so deep. You can really pull it out there. So, I mean, if we want to touch on the third-party feedback from the formula, so my girlfriend loves the fragrance. It's a great compliment getter all the time. I think, as I say, we're all about here at Bespoke Unit having multiple fragrances, different scenarios, but for me, at a push, if I was told to pick one fragrance, this would be a very, very strong contender. Definitely in top 5. Definitely one of the top performers for an all year round. This one regularly travels with me if I'm only going to take one fragrance as well. So, you know, and that really comes back to the third-party feedback that I've got from people when wearing the fragrance. It's such a great performer, evening, daytime, projection, strong, not overpowering, longevity, great as well.
Yeah, it's great for dates, it's great for formal occasions. So for a date, it's quite intimate, it's romantic, it's very tantalizing and enticing. So when you're wearing this on a first date, it's going to draw that person nearer. But for formal occasions, if you're doing some networking, if you're meeting important people, it also wants them to stay a little longer in your company because they're enjoying the fragrance, not necessarily romantically, but it is quite an enticing scent.
For me, diving back into the formula again, the impression of the fragrance, I've rated it as someone who's probably plus 30, like myself. I think it's a great evening fragrance, but again, touching on the fact I think it's a great all-round performer. Occasion, I'd say it was formal. To being, it's not sporty, it's not young. I definitely think it's more of a serious fragrance, but being very approachable at the same time. And then if we were talking about masculinity, I mean, it's not.
It's undeniably masculine.
Yeah, it's a very masculine fragrance, but again, it's not overpowering. I mean, I don't think this is one that I'd share with the girlfriend like we do with some of our fragrances. But however, it's not that, you know, 80s.
No, it's not like macho, it's not like medallions or anything like that. It's far too refined, far too elegant for it.
Great. And then I'll touch on the presentation quickly. So I think one of the things that this is known for is the engine turned bottle with a, you know, almost like a dumbbell feel to it. I mean,
gym when you have that
very solid, very solid glass. You know, engine turn, great pull of the cap. You know, I don't know if you can see here. As you can see, the engine turning. Inspired by Dunhill racing heritage, the old gear stick in a car. The newer bottles are black, gold, and they even released a green version again, but this is still, for me, the classic. The silver.
It's the one I've always known you have.
Yeah,
so,
the best fragrance out of the four, in my opinion. It's a little. We're potentially hinting that there's been a slight formula change, especially in the head. However, the drawdown's still fantastic.
Oh yeah, that hasn't changed much.
Presentation, 2 out of 2 on our scale. Atomizer, great again.
Cloudy,
Again.
misty, but not too loose.
Yeah, not like Sauvage, psh, the finest mist ever, and then you get some that squirt out like a spray bottle. You know, this one's great. Packaging, we have the standard packaging here, and then we also just bought this new kind of mall fragrance where you get the obviously 3.4 ounce EDP shower gel, ultra shave balm, and a little dot bag as well for 130 bucks. You know, I don't think it's overly approachable for a lot of people, but I think you get a lot of bang for your buck, especially if you're buying a package like this, where you get the EDP, the shower gel, you get all the refinements around, which is going to extend that fragrance longer as well if you shower with it. So if I'm going on a date night, I might use a little bit of the shower gel. So I bought this package before, and then it extends the life cycle of the fragrance. And I think the shower gel itself arrives straight at the base almost. You don't really get the head, you don't really get the heart. You just really, you know, arrive straight at that woody, earthy, rich base, which for me is what I love about the fragrance. So, I mean, overall, I personally scored this 91. I think it may be our first fragrance in the 90s, but I'm very, very partial to it, so maybe slightly biased.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you get out of it?
Well, as a more sort of from a neutral standpoint, I'd say it'd be in the mid 80s. It's hard to say like that, but somewhere between 80 and 85.
I think, yeah.
I really enjoy it, but I don't have the same association with it as you do.
But for us on the Bespoke Unit fragrance formula, anything over 81 is outstanding. Many of our fragrances sit in that, you know, 60 to 80 range, which is good. So for both of us to rank it above 81, I think shows how strong this is and a great performer. So if you guys haven't yet tried Dunhill Icon, I think we both strongly recommend it. Especially if you're looking for an evening fragrance or one that can traverse many situations. I think we're going to be in a really good shape. So
absolutely.
Again, so I'm Paul Anthony.
I'm Shafi Bowles.
And again, check out the fragrance formula below. You're going to be able to pick up your own one. You can fill out, use, have constructive discussions with friends, and always check out Bespoke Unit for our full write-up. Links below. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you soon.
Take care.